9:30, technically 9:29:26, but we're going to start the show anyway. We are light this morning on our staffing for KCIM Sports Rewind. We've got Sports Director Jeff Blankman and me. Missing this morning, the mascot mastermind, Casey Miners.
Yes, and it's not because he slept in today. Well, no. He probably did, but he's just not in the area.
No, on vacation for the day today. So, or either that or he didn't want to own up to his predicting that Iowa State would lose in the opening round. And that Drake would be the big team coming out of there. He totally botched that one.
Yeah, technically, if you look at that part of the pairings, he was 0 for 3.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, speaking of the bracket challenge,
yes,
we're going to get that coming up here in just a few more minutes, but it's been a crazy NCAA tournament with some of the upsets early, things like that. So, I don't know if anybody feels any confidence at all going forward into the Sweet 16.
No, I would imagine Gene Rasmussen probably has to feel somewhat confident. Not that he's not the only one that's got UConn, of course, to win a second straight national title, but he's probably been the one person that's been in the top 2 or 3 the entire bracket challenge, and right now tied with Derek Tigeson for first place. And then you got Clive Clark. Clive, he's showing confidence
in there every year. Doesn't he
does. Yeah, won it last year, and I don't know if I told the story during Rewind last week, but when we had our All-Star festivities for the winter, he brought the first place trophy back, and he goes, I'm planning on that being back at, at my desk after this one. He goes, I'm going to win again, and stuff. So he was confident going into this.
Love the confidence going into that. So,
yes.
Let's reveal it. You said the first couple of people that were on there. Let's get the rest of the lineup here and find out who is bringing up the rear.
Yes. Well, it's really close at the top, as it always is. You got Gene Rasmussen and Derek Tigeson tied for first at 480 points. You got Kurt Bada and Matt Wilkin tied for second with 470 points. Now, Wilkin always waits until 9:59 on Thursday morning to get his brackets in. So, he's
Same.
Yes.
You're always asking me, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Yeah, I'll get it done.
You'll get around to it. Yep. You got Clive Clark and Terry Kaspabauer tied for fifth at 460 points. And then you got Doug Waniger, Katie Cook, and Hugh John tied for seventh at 440 points. Casey Miners, can't pick on him too much. He's sitting in 10th place right now with 430 points. You've got Caitlin McAllister, Andrew Klink, and Keith Wagner all tied at 420 points. Nick Brinks, Todd Bontrager, myself, Randy Beeson, and last year's loser, Tom Hawkap, sitting at 410 points. Now, haven't teased Tom yet, but did you notice the name on his bracket this year?
I did, but I don't remember it right
offhand. It's No More Toilet Police. He still has the toilet trophy sitting on his desk. Yes. After Mr. Hawkap, you got Sean Minahan, Todd Danner, and Jason Phillips, along with Jeff Honnold and Janie Stolk. They are sitting right now at 400 points. You've got Darren Miller and Ashley Kaler at 390 points. And if you've thought about who I haven't said yet, Corey Meyer. Corey sitting in the basement right now with 370 points, but he does have Iowa State to win it. The funny thing is Iowa State, I think with the way they're playing, has a legit chance. But if you look at almost everybody down towards the bottom has Iowa State as their champion. So they're all still alive. They've just seems like, my guess is that they picked a lot of Big 12 teams. And the Big 12 hasn't done real well so far. Yeah,
the Big 12 and the SEC have really kind of tanked so far outside of Houston and Iowa State. So just not a great showing for them. But, you look at the Big East. I mean, you've got Marquette, you've got UConn.
And Creighton.
And Creighton, all those guys are just kind of killing it right now.
Yeah, the Big East hasn't lost a game. They're perfect. They had 3 teams get in and got 3 teams into the Sweet 16. ACC, their commissioner, Jim Swofford, came out complaining about the lack of attention to the ACC from the selection committee this year, and then his guys have went out and backed him up. They've got 4. That's the most out of any of the leagues into the Sweet 16.
Well, guess what? They won't have to worry about the ACC much anymore once Florida State and Clemson sue them to get out of the conference. Then it's going to be dissolved pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that'll be interesting to see, because if you're like Stanford and, what was it, Washington State or Cal, there you go, Stanford and Cal that just kind of moved into there, you've got to be worried now, because the only league that you could kind of get into that was considered a power league is now looking like it's not going to be a power league anymore when you lose two of your big boys.
Yeah,
so.
they're going to be scrambling again to try to find a league to join out there. So, but there's been some surprises. I mean, the women's bracket is going crazy last night. Watching that Iowa and West Virginia game, one of the most physical basketball games for women I have ever seen.
Yeah, and you wondered how the officials were going to call it. I thought early when they called West Virginia kind of for that hand check on Caitlin Clark, about 40 feet away from the basket on the right sideline, I thought, ooh, this isn't going to be called to allow West Virginia to play like they like, and that's that kind of physical forearm check, hand check type of the things they try to get you off the line. But they allowed them to play, and they allowed it to be a very physical game, and that gave West Virginia a chance. Had a friend text me last night when the game got tied at 48, and they're like, you still saying Iowa's going to win it? And I'm like, yeah, there's no way they're losing this thing.
Yeah.
I was completely confident. Now, I will have to say I took South Carolina in our bracket challenge on the women's side, even though I've said all year that I think Iowa is going to win the championship.
They're kind of the consensus pick, like UConn is on the men. A lot of people are saying UConn's the best team. They're going to win it. South Carolina is that on the women's side.
And they have been flat dominant this year. And the scary thing is that all 5 of their starters last year graduated or moved on to the WNBA. They have a whole new starting lineup this year, and but they practiced against 5 WNBA girls every single year last year, and I think they took it to heart that they got beat in the Final Four by Iowa last year, and I think they're pretty hungry to go out and be able to do some. Speaking of the women's bracket, we have 11 of us in that bracket challenge, actually a few more than that, but Katie Cook right now in first place with 550 points, Clive Clark in second with 540 points. You got Ashley Kaler, myself, and Todd Danner tied for third at 530 points. Todd Bontrager, Jason Phillips, Sean Minahan tied for sixth with 520 points. You've got Gene Rasmussen in ninth place with 500 points. Casey Miner sitting in 10th place right now at 480 points. And the guy bringing up the bottom, used to co-host with us on this show. Mr. Jeff Honnold, buried in the basement right now at 460 points.
Yeah, I did not get a women's bracket filled out there, but I probably would have been just as bad. Who knows? Here's an amazing stat. I ran across this the other day, and I had to take a screenshot of it, and just so I get it right. Duke Blue Devils.
Yep.
In the tournament every year, right?
Yep.
It has been 30 years, 3 decades since Duke beat a higher seed in the men's NCAA tournament. That was Purdue in 1994.
You're kidding.
I about dropped when I heard that.
Wow, yeah. I would have never thought that with Coach K. You'd have thought that,
Yeah, and that's 28 years under him probably that they were doing that. They've never beaten a higher seed in the men's NCAA tournament in 30 years. Crazy.
Well, that's, I guess, the luck of a lot of times being a 1 or a 2 seed. You probably haven't had a tremendous amount of games against teams that are seeded higher than you. But
if you're not doing well.
Right,
if you're going in as an 8 or a 9, which I think they did this year. I'm not even sure where they were at. But, that's just an unbelievable statistic.
Well, it's kind of like KU in a way. KU either loses early or makes a run to the Final Four into the national championship game. So that there doesn't seem to be too much of an in-between for Kansas.
Yeah, Calipari at Kentucky is kind of on the hot seat right now.
Yeah.
So he's not looking real good right now. But speaking of coaching moves,
I'm not happy with him, by the way, because like an idiot this year, I'm like, I got to pick one team that's going to be different than everybody else in the Final Four. And like an idiot, I went with Kentucky, and then they lose the very first day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was Alabama, and I picked them to win the whole thing.
Yes.
I'm the only person that has Alabama.
You are.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I want chaos to reign is what I want. But speaking of college moves, Darren DeVries going to West Virginia. They are getting a heck of a good coach and an All-American, and Tucker DeVries coming with him, his son. Yeah,
you got to feel for Drake. Happy for Darren. I think West Virginia's getting a really good coach. I know Iowa fans are rolling over right now and screaming into the pillow and upset because, I would say 3/4 of the Iowa fan base wanted Darren DeVries to be their next head coach, and it could still happen. There's nothing to say that if Fran would step away or leave Iowa that Darren couldn't leave West Virginia.
Top of the list.
Absolutely, yeah. But for them to not, and then not just for a great coach to leave, but for your best player and an All-American to also take off and leave. Double whammy for Drake. And it seems like Drake gets those really good coaches like, Keenan Davis, I think, was their coach after Tom left and had some really good years. Keno, there you go. Yeah. And then he left and kind of struggled at Providence and is somewhere else now, I think Central Michigan or something like that. And then they kind of went through some tough years, and then Darren comes in and kind of rebuilds the program and then takes off. So, if you're Drake, can you hold on and continue the success you had, or are we going to see Drake kind of slide back, into the Missouri Valley again?
It's crazy how much the coach means to that program, and they were probably the best not talked about team in the country this year. They were just outstanding. Speaking of outstanding, the game between Stanford and the Iowa State women, I saw people all over Facebook just tweeting that was the best basketball game, college game they have seen.
Yeah,
period.
That was a tremendous game, and the one thing I will say is that both teams came up with big plays and clutch shots, I thought, when needed. And I think that was the thing that jumped out to me the most. I mean, you think about it, until the last couple of moments there where Stanford was able to kind of pull away and get the win, it was almost like two heavyweights throwing, haymakers at each other, because Iowa State would come down and hit a big three, or Caitlin Ryan or whatever her name was would go in and score. Emily Ryan, there you go, thank you. And then, Stanford would answer and stuff down on the other end, and what a tremendous game.
Yeah, Cameron Brink got a lot of the headlines coming out of that. She fouled out of the ball game, and
on a clear foul. It was clearly a foul.
Yeah, it was clearly a foul. They should have called that one. But as she walked by the referee, you see her mouth something, a certain expletive.
Yeah, that we can't repeat.
A two-phrase expletive that we can't say here, but it was the second word was you. I looked at it and I thought, how do they not tee her up?
Yeah.
How do they not? I mean, she's already fouled out of the game. How at that point do they not go, that's a technical? You can't do that to an official.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is what impact then would that have had? So you'd have had an All-American being dumb in a way and getting herself teed up if that would have happened late in a game, and how Iowa State would have got free throws and the ball, and how that maybe would have changed that outcome of that game. Yeah.
And I tell you, the more you see like Caitlin Clark, the more scrutiny she's getting for some of the outbursts that she has and things like that. So, I mean, you could tell, I think it's just kind of weighing on her.
I think
all of this attention, all this everything, it's kind of like, I just want to play.
Yeah, I think especially with it being her senior year and it's her last year she's leaving, has already announced that there's a lot of pressure on her to get them to the, into the Final Four and to maybe get them a national championship. And you wonder if I wonder if getting her out of Iowa City now will lessen some of that, because she won't be around so many diehard people. It's not like Iowa's not going to flock to where their next game's at, and stuff. But now you got all these Hollywood people and singers and everything else showing up at their games and that kind of stuff. So that's a lot of pressure on the young lady. And then she's always played with a fire and an intensity and stuff. You even go back to her high school days and some of the, I don't want to say antics, but some of the things that she did on the court now is some of the same things that she did.
Her mannerisms and things like that.
Yes, and stuff like that. But I thought the interesting one was, whether or not it was actually at that time or not, but her dad yelling, "Shut up," or whatever. Was he really yelling that at her when she was, reacting to officials' call, or was that something that somebody grabbed at a different time and then played and stuff? Because you saw all that out on social media as well.
That could have totally been an edit job. It could have been accurate. It could have been, you just don't know.
Right.
But I just think it's all kind of weighing on her, and teams are now being even extra physical with her, because West Virginia,
very physical.
They kind of beat up on her last night.
Yep.
And you could see the frustration that she's like, whoa, okay, this is kind of crossing the line.
Yeah, well, Indiana did that to Iowa and to her earlier this year when they beat them, and Kansas State did it. I mean, that's kind of what everybody has realized, that if you have a chance to be able to beat them, you're going to have to be very physical and try and get her out of her game a little bit. And at times this year, it's been able to work. So
yeah, well, they're still rolling on, I guess, on this one. So they did get by West Virginia last night. We got an interview coming up here to wrap up KCIM Sports Radio. We didn't even get to our trivia question.
Yeah, you can ask it, and then, or do you want to wait till next week?
We can ask it here.
Okay.
I'll give you your choice. You want NCAA basketball or baseball?
Let's go basketball.
Basketball, 8 schools in this year's men's NCAA tournament have won multiple national championships. Name at least, let's say, 5 of them.
Okay.
5 that have won multiple national championships.
So out of all of the teams that are in it.
Out of all teams that were in this year's tournament.
Okay,
yes.
I can do that.
All right, so but coming up, we're going to have a special interview. Tell us who we got.
We've got Spencer Moon, former South Central Calhoun Titan, currently running over at Simpson, and it's his senior year. We'll talk about all of the different successes that he's had, especially this year and in his entire career.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
Joining us on the phone right now from Spencer, I believe, actually Simpson College. Where is Simpson College at?
It is in Indianola.
Indianola, there you go. Let me get my colleges correct here. Spencer Moon is joining us on the phone, and we're going to be talking about an incredible career for the senior from Simpson. Now, Jeff, you mentioned some of the incredible things that he's done as a senior. Just go ahead and give us a few of those.
Yeah, became the first Simpson athlete in school history to win the indoor and outdoor track MVPs at the conference championships. Won all 4 races he contested at the indoor and outdoor conference championships. He was named USTF CCCA All-American or All-Midwest region in 4 separate events, 2 indoor and outdoor. Broke his own school record and the conference record in the indoor 5,000 meters in a time of 14:07 at the SDSU Indoor Classic, and that's just a handful of the ones that he has done just this season and stuff. So there's several more of those.
Yeah, lots more that we could just rattle off. Spencer, you have been busy, my man. Tell us about your year, how incredible it's been.
So I guess I can just go all the way back to cross country in the fall. I didn't really have the season this year that I wanted to for cross country, but I was running really high mileage, and I think it's really starting to pay off for indoor and outdoor, hopefully this year. So, we maybe paid a price a little bit, but accomplishing all that I did indoor season so far, and hopefully continuing to outdoor has really been worth it. So.
Spencer, so what was disappointing for you for cross country? Because everything I seem to read and in following you, you seem to be having a really, really good year even for cross country.
So I mean, disappointing for me is this is my 5th year. So last year, my senior year, I finished 10th and got All-American at nationals, and this year I was hoping to improve on that place, and I started running a lot more this summer and continued that into the season, and I think I just got a little too greedy and ran too much, and by the time conference was all right, I got second, and the guy that I lost to is really good, so that wasn't super surprising, but I got 3rd at the regional meet, and that's how you qualify for nationals in D3. I got 3rd my senior year, but this past year I got like 7th or 8th. I'm not sure off the top of my head, and then by the time I made it to nationals, my legs were just dead from doing too much, and I ended up finishing like 90th, somewhere in that range, and top 40 or All-American. So it was quite disappointing, and but I like to think that if I'm disappointed in one season, I can kind of take that out on the training the following that and build off of that into indoor track season. So I kind of took that and used that, and from that training, I was able to open up my indoor track season with a 3K PR, and that time ended up qualifying me for nationals. So.
Spencer, you mentioned that you maybe overtrained. You've always run a lot of miles. So what was the mileage you were running last summer to get yourself ready for the cross-country season where you feel like you may be overtrained?
Yeah, so last year, my senior season, I was running 90 miles a week, and that was kind of the sweet spot in that range, I think. So I've been staying closer to like 75 to 80 for indoor track, but there was a few weeks in there this past cross-country season where I was pushing 110 miles a week, which was it just felt like I was running all the time, but definitely had to build up to it quite a bit, and I was quite tired all the time. There's not a whole lot you can do other than that in school, so it was fun to do that for a while, but it's definitely nice to come back down and have a little bit of energy.
So who designed that training program for you? Was it you and the coaches, or was it more of you designing that kind of a heavy training program?
I've been training with Heath for 5 years now, and I kind of understand his system. So building up to 90 was pretty easy in his system, and then getting up that high, I was going into quite a few uncharted territories. So I think it was a little bit of both, but I would definitely say I was maybe pushing it a little bit more than he was. But I mean, we talked about it, and he always asked why, what's the point of doing this? And as long as you can give him a good answer, I think he's going to let you do it. So I think that was good and bad. Maybe I should have gave a little more rationale behind it, and maybe that would have deterred me from that a little bit. But I mean, it's in the past, and like I said, it's paying off now, so sure. Can't be too upset about it.
Spencer, I can't imagine that. Back when I ran a lot, I was running about 30 to 40 miles a week. I can't imagine trying to double that and go to school. So hats off to you, even just running 90. But so as you've gone into the indoor-outdoor season then here for kind of track and field and start to have all the success, I mean, literally, you pull up the Simpson website and you look at your senior year, there's about 10 different records and stuff like that you've been able to break and accomplish. What do you feel is your biggest accomplishment here with the indoor-outdoor season?
So I guess getting records is really fun, and running fast is super exciting. But one thing that's kind of eluded me is I might have been the most accomplished one-time All-American. So definitely finally getting to the national meet and getting All-American there is a big deal. So I was finally able to get All-American indoor this past season for the 5K, and that was just really rewarding. I've made it to nationals quite a few times now, and somehow I keep missing the All-American spot. So it was definitely a big relief and really rewarding to finally finish All-American.
You know, when you were running at South Central Calhoun, you committed to Simpson. What was it about Simpson? You feel like that was the perfect match for you as you've gone through your senior year? You look back and think, yeah, I made totally the right decision?
Yeah, for sure. Not a doubt in my mind. At the time, I really liked the team, and I still like the team. And but I would say even more, it was Coach Heath. I really liked his coaching style and just who he is as a person. And looking back at my senior year now, me and Heath are great friends, and it's really nice to kind of have that coach relationship, but also the friend relationship. I can go stop in his office and we can just sit down and talk to just about really anything. It doesn't even have to be running. So there's no question that I made the right decision for myself.
Spencer, where do you feel like you've grown from high school to even your early years of college as a runner to where you are today?
Yeah, so I think when I came to college, I was just kind of missing the strength aspect of running. I did run quite a bit in high school, but definitely up the mileage quite a bit. I started running 50 miles a week when I got to Simpson, and I feel like that was kind of the missing piece that I needed. So between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college, if you convert my 3K from that time, it was I went from 9:49 to 9:14 in a matter of months, which is pretty crazy. So it was just kind of getting into a different system, I think, is really beneficial. I was working a lot on speed in high school, and here I've definitely transitioned into strength-based training, and I think that just clicks a little bit easier for myself. So I think that was just getting in the right system in place was really important.
I was going to say, a lot of runners out there, maybe they're starting, they stay away from the weights just because they think that's going to bulk them up, and it's going to hurt their longevity or their conditioning and things like that. But what kind of specific weight training did you do? I mean, it was all based on just squats, things like that, normal things that you would do, or were they specialty design programs for you?
So we have a weight training program. I don't participate in that too much. My roommate, he graduated last year. He was big into lifting, so we did that quite a bit my sophomore and junior year. But my freshman year, and I would say my senior year and fifth year, we've done a lot of just general strength stuff, and I think just working on like the core, and if you have any weaknesses in running, I would just work on those. So it wasn't so much of like lifting weights, but more just like body weight exercises, I think, are really important. So,
Spencer, for you, outdoor season getting rolling, what's the goals this year for the outdoor season?
Yeah, so actually I have a hopefully 10K coming up in 2 days. So hoping to go there, get my time qualifier, because you just get in on the top. It's like the top 22 times per outdoor, make it to nationals. So it's a little early in the season, so I'm trying to balance training, building the mileage back up from indoor nationals, and trying to get qualifying marks. So we're going to go there. Hopefully, if we PR, or if I PR, that'd be really nice. But it's really just running close to that PR and getting time that'll get me to nationals, so we can kind of sit in the training block for a little bit. And then breaking 14 outdoors. I was very fortunate and lucky to do it indoors, and I hope to improve on that time for outdoor season and get back to nationals in the 5K and 10K, and hopefully walk away with another All-American. So.
Spencer, I think you're over at Central on Thursday, as you mentioned. That got me thinking, out of all the places that you've traveled, where's your favorite place to run? Which is kind of some of the favorite courses that and meets you've been able to run at over the years?
Yeah, so like I said, I broke 14 this year, and I was very fortunate enough. Heath took me and a couple other people to Boston University in Boston, and that was a super fun trip. And as a distance runner, it's a huge distance meet. They have like 13 heats of the 5K, and like I would probably say a similar amount of heats in the 3K. So it's a huge distance meet there, and it was really fun to go there to watch all the events, because pros and a lot of like D1 colleges go there as well. So it's fun to watch fast times, but then when it comes down to it, to be able to compete with those kind of people as well. So yeah, that was definitely a really special meet to go to.
As you wind down your college career here as a senior, you got a lot of things coming up with graduation and all that, but what's next? I mean, give me the next few events in your schedule over the next month or so for cross-country meets and things.
Yeah, so I'll be running a 10K this weekend, and then I'll probably take 2 weeks in between that, and then I'll be running a 5K, and probably go, I don't know how far conference is after that, maybe like three weeks. So I'll kind of take those weeks off to get back into training a little bit and have conference, and 2 weeks after that, national. So probably hopefully only 4 meets left of my season. So yeah, it's gonna come to an end pretty quick.
Are you going to try to run at the Drake Relays at all this year, Spence, in any of the events? And then as far as the education part, how's school going for you, and what's the job lineup look like for you after you graduate?
Yeah, so last year I ran the 1500 at Drake. That was like 6 days after 10K, which was it was always fun to go to Drake and run there. I mean, especially coming from high school, here in Iowa. It's just super cool to make it there anytime. So that was really fun. But I don't think I will be running there this year. It's the same time as our home meet, and a lot of the spill off from Drake comes to Simpson, the Kip Jambrin meet. So probably will just be working there. But yeah, and then education-wise, have like four weeks left, I think, and then finals. So it's coming to an end pretty quick. And then I actually have a job lined up. I think that I'll be starting in July. I'll be working at a public accounting firm in West Des Moines. So have to start studying for the CPA after I graduate. So.
Any plans on continuing any kind of competitive running after that? I mean, is it going to be hard to give all this up?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep running. There's a couple of running groups in Des Moines that I might join one, just kind of depending how much I have to do for work. But definitely going to pre-run and then maybe join a group. But yeah, it's going to be weird not having the obligation to run that day. I can, if I don't feel like running or if it's not ideal out, I have that option to not run. It's going to be a little bit different for a while.
Well, Spencer, if you ever decide to do Relay Iowa again, maybe we can get Jeff Storyhan out of retirement and we can recreate the you blowing by him as you did about 6 years ago.
Yep.
Well, Spencer, I tell you what, it's been great catching up with you, and I'm shocked. I mean, you said you've been kind of disappointed at some things. As Jeff, we sit here and read all the accomplishments and thinking, wow, I mean, he's just burning it up.
Yep.
It's just crazy. So, but it's all in perspective, I guess. But good luck the rest of the way, and we'll be following all of your relays, your events, and all of that coming up. So good luck to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, Spencer Moon once again joining us here from Indianola, of course. Spencer Senior and Jeff. Yeah, it's crazy to read all the accomplishments. You look down the page, and it could take you literally half an hour to read them all.
Yeah, and what the cool thing is like you said, you and I look at what he's accomplished, and we're like, I'm amazed by what he's been able to do. He's such a special young guy. And then to find out that the competitiveness in him, he's a little disappointed in some of the things that he's done. And that's what makes great athletes is they're always striving to be better.
Yeah, that just never enough. You know, you always want to do better in things. So, boy, great career for Spencer Moon. This is KCIM Sports Rewind. So we're going to wrap up the show by getting a trivia question out of the way, and we did it a little short form here. I gave Jeff Blankman alone the question here since Casey isn't on hand. 8 schools in this year's NCAA tournament have won national multiple championships. Can you name them? I said, give me 5.
Yeah.
And you got 6 right off the bat.
Yep, got 6 kind of without any help, and you kind of gave me some hints on the last 2.
The last couple were tough.
They were, and the tough thing was trying to remember because, we thought of UCLA and Villanova who have multiple championships, but they're not in this year's tournament.
Yeah, not included in this year's field of 64. Yeah. So, all right, give me your 8 that you've got, or the 6 actually that you got.
Yep, I grabbed Kansas, North Carolina, and Duke right away. I had to think a little bit, but I came up with Florida as I was running through the conferences. Came up with Florida and Kentucky, and then UConn, who I actually picked to win the championship this year. And then the 2 you really kind of helped me with by giving me the conferences, North Carolina State and then Michigan State. I didn't realize that, I thought Tom Izzo only had the 1, but he does have the 2.
I thought of Michigan State. NC State was the shocker for me, that they have won 2 national championships.
Jim Valvano year was the only year when they beat the Phi Slamma Jamma in Houston in '83 was the only one I could think of. So.
Yeah, but apparently 2 of them for NC State. So Kentucky with 8, North Carolina with 6, Duke with 5, UConn with 5, Kansas with 4, NC State with 2, Florida with 2, and then Michigan State with 2. And by the way, UConn, a lot of people saying they'll have 6 by the end of this. So they'll be tied with North Carolina.
I'm hoping so, because if they get their 6, then I won't finish in last.
Yeah, I'm just hoping my Alabama long shot comes through for me, because when I filled out my bracket, I told you, I said, this is potentially a last place bracket.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
I could potentially finish dead last.
Well, you notice what I named my bracket on the radio station one that we're doing with Carpet One Horn Flum. Blankman's last place bracket, because I knew that one wasn't going to be any good.
Yeah, it's all about just not finishing last here at KCIM Sports Rewind. Catch a podcast of this program coming up here in a few minutes online.